Hi everyone, and in this final part of Lesson 1 in our catch-up series, we'll take all of your learning about Wundt so far and apply it to some exam skills and some exam-style questions. So in this session, you will also review some suggested candidate answers and practice your peer assessment skills. But let's start with a quick check of your learning so far. On the screen, there's 16 squares, each containing some terms or information that you should be familiar with already. Your task is to work out which 4 of the squares belong together, and do this 4 times until all squares have been put into a set. So pause the video for 10 minutes while you have a careful think and jot your answers down. Let's see how you did. So our first set are highlighted on the screen, and these 4 belong together to form one set because they are all AO1 features of Wundt. In green, we've got 4 that belong together because each of those 4 are a key feature of science. And in blue, we've got 4 things that go together to form a set because they are all evaluation points that you could use of Wundt. And finally, in pink, we have 4 approaches that you would find on the timeline. So well done if you got any of those. Now let's take a look at some exam style questions. On your exam, you could be asked any type of question on Wundt approach and the key features of science, but here's 3 typical questions. So we've got a short 3 marker, we've got a 6 marker, which is asking you to focus on evaluation, and then we've got an extended writing question asking you to outline and evaluate Wundt's approach in psychology. Now, if we look at the 8 marker, one of the good habits for you to get into is to decode all of the exam questions. So if we do decode this question, we will notice that it's asking us to do both outline and evaluate. So any candidate that only does one or the other is not going to reach anywhere near a top level answer. We only want to focus on Wundt's approach, and the question's worth 8 marks, which indicates how much time we should spend on it, but also the amount of depth of knowledge that we should demonstrate in our answer as well. Let's take the 3 mark question, and here's some example candidate answers. What I'd like you to do is pause the video for 5 minutes while you read each one and make a suggestion about what mark you think each candidate would be given. So let's start with candidate A, and you can pause your video now. Next up, we have candidate B. Again, you can pause your video while you read and put your answer down. And finally, we have candidate C. So let's take a look at those together. Candidate A would earn full marks for the outline because it's accurate, it uses specialist terms well, and it offers enough detail for this 3 mark question. Candidate B would earn 1 mark, but it doesn't really offer anything in detail. Nothing that's going to demonstrate an understanding of this approach. Candidate C would earn 1 also, and this answer doesn't really have any context or detail in its body. It does have a lot of terms, but without that context, those terms don't add any value to the answer. And the inclusion of the AO3 at the end isn't credit-worthy either. In this last task, pause the video for a further 5 minutes and read through the answer on the screen, which contains a series of errors. Your task is to find the errors and fix them on your worksheet so that you can end this lesson with a good outline of Wundt's approach. There were 6 errors in total, and we can take a look at these now. So the date was wrong. So in the previous text it said 1979, and of course the approach was devised in 1879. It wasn't Russia, it was Germany, where the Institute for Experimental Psychology was opened. In the body before it said that, evolution, and of course it moved away from philosophy, not evolution. Structure of thought is not the term that we should use. Structuralism is what you should have fixed it to. He didn't measure running times, he measured reaction times. And of course, it wasn't that the shorter the reaction times, the more mental process would involved. It should be the longer their reaction times, the more mental processes were involved. So well done if you were able to spot and amend any of those errors.